Sometimes I feel like we appreciate and encourage the wrong things in life. Let me explain what I mean. This video isn't going to be about life or money or anything like that. It's more about careers and career paths that people take in life. Let me also say that there's nothing wrong with going to school and taking the safe route. I've said before that I wish I had the mental fortitude to go to school and tough it out, but school just wasn't for me. Sometimes I think we applaud the wrong things when it comes to the people in our lives and, not just our relatives, but our friends and stuff too. Let's use me as an example. If I went to school for 2 years and I became an accountant, people would applaud me for doing that. And let me also say that going to school is not easy, graduating is not easy, and there's no such thing as an easy degree. But if I did that, people would applaud my efforts. But the second that I tell people I'm gonna try and run my own photography business, for example, or videography business, it's like the whole energy changes and switches to, I don't know if you should, or maybe you should have just went to school, or something along those lines. So how can it be that when people go the safe route, they get applauded, but when they take a risk and try something for themselves, it gets frowned upon? Like, are we celebrating the wrong things? It's kind of confusing to me. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't tell your friends that you want to start your business, because I think you should, but I think that we've been conditioned to be risk adverse because of the way that most people were brought up. Think about it. When you were growing up and people asked you what you wanted to be, you told them you wanted to be a doctor or a firefighter or a lawyer or something. But if you said that you wanted to be a singer or a painter, you got laughed at because it wasn't a typical career path. I mean, me, myself, when I was a kid, I remember I used to tell everybody that I wanted to be a paramedic. And, obviously kids don't know better. So we just went along with the notion that we had to be doctors or lawyers or firefighters. Then when it was time to pick your career path at the end of high school, you went on to be the doctor or the lawyer or the firefighter. You weren't pushed to pursue your passions because your passion won't pay the bills. And that's the way that we were conditioned. Am I making sense here? I probably sound crazy. The thing is that people are always going to try and tell you things, but it's up to you to figure out the right people to tell it to and to filter out all the bullshit information. The reason for this is because I remember I was working at a job and this guy was quitting. He was quitting because he was taking the leap of faith to start his own business or whatever it was, and I applaud him for it. I never spoke to him after he quit, so I don't know what happened, but I remember people at work were trying to talk him out of it. They were like, oh, why would you leave now? You should wait and see what happens. But one thing I applaud him for was that he stuck to his word and he didn't let other people influence him. They were trying to tell him things like, like you don't know how it's gonna work and what if it doesn't work out and other stuff, but I encouraged him to go do his thing. The thing is that the safe route is always gonna be there. There are always gonna be opportunities to go back and get another job or to go back to school. Those things aren't going anywhere. Sure, it might feel embarrassing because, you're going back to a job and people might judge you or look at you in a certain light. But at the end of the day, you could say that you took the risk and you took the leap of faith to try and do your own thing. How many other people can say that? Not nearly as many that took the safe route. One theory that I have about people that try to talk you out of things like that might be a controversial one, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I think people try to talk you out of things because they were once the person in your shoes and they were scared to make the jump, so they're gonna try and keep you on their level. They had the idea to go and start a clothing brand, for example, but they were either scared or they tried it and it didn't work, and that's why they're gonna try and persuade everyone else to not do it because it didn't work for them. But just because it didn't work for them doesn't mean it won't work for you. That's not always the case. I guarantee there were other computer companies that came before Apple, but they didn't do it right. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong because I wasn't there, but if it went right, we would be hearing something or we would have heard something from those companies, like Microsoft, for example. Microsoft and Apple did the computer thing right, and then they turned into two of the biggest juggernauts in the computer space. Whether you prefer Apple or Microsoft is up to you, but we can't deny that they changed the world. The other thing that's crazy to me is that people know that we don't like our jobs. I remember reading something like 85% of people hate their jobs or something like that. And yet we still tell people that they have to just go work at a job that they're not fulfilled at. Like if you lined up 10 people and somebody told you that only 2 of these people like their jobs, are you still gonna tell those other 8 people to just go to work and hate their life? But you see, people don't think like that. People don't give things attention until it's brought to their attention. I just find it fascinating. Like, not in a good way, but it's like when you're there with the golden handcuffs on, like people applaud you. But when you make moves to try and do something that you love and, escape the rat race and the 9-to-5 grind and stuff like that, like people belittle you. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. And this isn't meant to be a go chase your dreams type of video. This is just a video about an observation that I've made one too many times, and I think that it needs to be said. I think we all have to do a better job of not being so scared of taking risks, because sometimes risks pay off. I'm not gonna tell you that we live in a fantasy world and that all your dreams will come true, because that's not the case. But I think that we all, not just older people or younger people, I mean people in general, have to be more open to the idea of choosing what's gonna make them happy in their life versus the accolades. That's just my opinion on the matter. A good video that you can watch to complement this one is one where I talked about Jordan Peterson talking about the people that you keep in your life. You can watch it up here. Moral of the story is don't be scared to tell people what your goals and dreams are. If they try to steer you off your path, just remember that when you don't chase your dreams, it's not hurting anyone except you. And as always, thanks for watching.